Good afternoon, collectors, and welcome to Trading Card Therapy, episode number 32. I am the host, yours truly, the Dr. Leighton Sheldon. Been buying and selling cards for a few decades, collecting for even longer, and proud father, of course, to my son Crosby, who just turned 8 years old. But today, we are here to talk about my recent buying trip to Florida. I started off flying to Tampa, met a really good buddy of mine's brother down there to kind of assist me with the trip. We bought a collection in Tampa, which we're going to talk about today here on the episode. And we're going to talk about our journey after that, time permitting, as today's episode will be a little bit shorter than usual as I have a hard stop at 2 o'clock. But we did go from Tampa to Boca, and we flew to Tampa on Friday morning, or I flew to Tampa on Friday morning, and then drove down to Boca at the end of the day on Friday, woke up to gorgeous weather in Boca on Saturday, did some things Saturday morning, and then at noon we headed over, or excuse me, 11 o'clock, we headed over to Original Fat Cats, where, as I was telling the team up here, we probably had several hours in a row of just looking at fresh stuff. And, anything and everything from 80s and 90s junk all the way up to a 57 Topps basketball set, which we were able to, buy that. And actually, that set break is already live on our site at vintagebreaks.com. And only because I have it next to me, I will show you the two key cards from that. Here, we'll show our team, our YouTube folks there. And then we will show our IG friends. That is now live on our site at vintagebreaks.com. $1.25 a spot. Check it out. Everyone will guarantee themselves to get a 1957 Topps basketball card. But for today's episode, I'd like to focus on this collection that you see some of in front of me. And obviously, we could not fit it all on camera. And I realize that Instagram cannot see this yet. But if you'd like to check out us on YouTube, you can on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/justcollect. Hey, what's up, Harry? I presume it's you. So today we're going to talk about the collection in Tampa. Ian and his family contacted me fairly recently, but as usual, we did a bunch of due diligence and work before we went down there. What we're talking about that we were able to purchase is a fresh to the hobby collection of over 1,000 vintage baseball cards of Topps and Bowman, all from the 1950s. Headlined by some real beauties. And if you've been watching me this week on Leighton's Loft and some of our other live streams here on Vintage Breaks, then you'll probably know what I'm going to show off today towards the end. But of course, we're going to leave you just a little bit longer before we show you, the cream of the crop here. So as I said, there were over 1,000 cards, anything and everything from stacks of 54s, a lot of minor stores and commons, reasonable shape. There's Monty Irvin. Of course, we'll show some of our our Instagram friends as well. So just, big stacks are in front of me. I realize Instagram folks can't see that. Here's a 53 Topps. There was no Mantle, but you had a Bob Feller, Minnie Minoso, and several other stars and Hall of Famers as well. Reasonable shape. No Satch, no Mantle. Like I said, these cards were already put in top loaders when we purchased them, but we're going to get into a little bit of the background of the story in just a minute. I'm going to show you a stack of the 52s for the folks at home. For those wondering, yes, there was about 15 high numbers. Of course, we're going to share some of those high numbers on today's show. All right, we'll leave these here. These are some of the highlights of the collection. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. Here, we'll show that. Just some of the highlights. We're going to go through just a minute. Okay. So what I really thought was interesting about this collection was, there's always a story, but this one was unexpected. So these cards belong to Ian's father. Now they belong to Ian and his sister, so they are splitting the proceeds. And what was really interesting is that Ian's father, at least in Ian's opinion, was not a collector. So you may ask, how did he get a collection of over 1,000 vintage baseball cards from the 1950s? Ian's not sure, but him and his sister surmise that someone likely in the family, like an uncle, a cousin, distant relative, or simply just a neighbor, instead of throwing the cards in the garbage, which was commonplace in the 1950s, instead of throwing them in the garbage, they gifted them to Ian's father. But what's really interesting is that Ian's father is not a collector. So, because of that, Ian's father didn't really have him tucked away. And as Ian was going to school as a young pup, he would, look up some of these cards and price guides, and he would actually start bringing them to school to kind of show his friends. He thought they were cool. So lo and behold, as you're going to see as we cycle through some of the highlights, there's one in particular that I could not believe he told me he brought this to school. So without further ado, let's get into some of the highlights, of this Fresh to the Hobby 1950s collection. I'm going to first show the card on YouTube, and then I will go over to Instagram and show that card. So first up here, nice mid-grade 1954 Bowman Willie Mays. These cards didn't used to be worth as much as they are today, but even mid-grade Aarons and Mazes, they go for pretty good money. Next up, as I showed you, there is a big stack of 54s in this collection, 54 Topps. So there is a nice Jackie. There was no Aaron. There's actually several Teddy ball games from 1954 Topps. And we just got back one from PSA, ironically, today. All right, Al Kaline rookie. That's a biggie from 54. $55 Topps, second year, Ernie Banks. All right, we're down to not the last three cards in the collection, but the last three highlights that we're going to go through specifically and show off today. The next two cards are Jackie Robinson. I'm not sure which one I like more. The 56, which is the last card of his career, shows all the stats, which I think is super cool. Or, of course, upcoming next is his elusive 1952 Topps high number. This is a really nice, big, great example. All right, we're going to kind of keep the other one off camera. We're going to show the Jackie. That's the second to last highlight. You can see it'll grade a 1, but it's got good eye appeal for a 1. Card has certainly increased in value a lot over recent years. If I had my Bulls intro music, I would roll that out now, but we're not so sophisticated here for the show. So without further ado, we are proud to show you here on Trading Card Therapy the first reveal of a fresh to the hobby, ungraded example. It will technically grade a little bit lower, but it's got great eye appeal. A 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle. Really good color. J5, we're still on YouTube, right? Because I don't see any other comments coming through. All right, Instagram, enjoy. Great color. Like I said, it's probably in a grade in that 1.5 to 2 range. But for that kind of range, really great eye appeal. So check this out. Ian tells me he brought the card to school to show his friends when he was a kid. When they first started looking it up when he was young, the card was $300 in near mint condition. And then it eventually climbed to $3,000. That's when his father bought them plastics. He still didn't lock them up, but he no longer permitted them to bring them to school. So the full story about this the full story about this collection is going to appear on our blog at blog.justcollect.com in the very near future. But before that collection, we are going to put up the blog, the video, and the full story on Amy's collection that we bought in Hoboken. She's actually from the city, but it included, I don't know, there might have been over 1,050 cards in that collection also. 51 Bowman Mantle, 51 Bowman Mays. So if you are into vintage cards and you didn't know about our blog already, do yourself a favor, bookmark it on your browser or on your phone. It is blog.justcollect.com, or you can just simply go to our website at justcollect.com and click on our blog. We have hundreds of stories, from the last several years, probably decade, if not longer, talking about anything and everything from, at this point, J5, how many mantles do you think we bought here ungraded? I mean, definitely north of 10. I don't know if it's 20, if it's 25, but it's a fair amount. And you know what? It doesn't make the next one any lesser or any less important. So we're super pumped about that. Really excited about the 1957 Topps basketball set break, which is live now on our site at vintagebreaks.com. And if you're going to be in the Millburn, New Jersey area, definitely stop by in the next week or so. A lot of these beauties from this fresh collection will be on display in our store for a first glance and a first look. So if you enjoyed today's content, please drop a "give me more" in the comments, so I know that you enjoy previewing and checking out these collections as they come in here. And as I said, you're just seeing a few stacks, but we couldn't fit on camera the over 1,000 cards, of course, in this vintage collection. Special shout out to Mark, who was kind enough to join me, on my journey and travels in Florida, as well as original Fat Cats. And of course, Ian, Craig O from the VB family, and many other folks that I enjoyed meeting and chatting about, not just cards, but whether it be Florida and how lucky I was to be there while it was 40 degrees up north, anything and everything in between. Hey, what's up, Tom? How are you? So we are very, very excited to let you know that if you are in the Florida area, Boca, Tampa, or Miami, or other parts of Florida, please drop us a line here at Leighton, Leighton at justcollect.com. If you're on IG, just DM me. But I'll be going back down to the Florida area the next 4 to 6 weeks. And I might be coming to an area near you soon. So if you'd like to find out if I'll be coming to an area near you, check out our travel schedule on our website at justcollect.com. Or like I said, email or DM me. And if you think that I should just come to your area, like our very own Dave Melcher told me yesterday, because the College World Series is going to be around him and there's going to be, good action. There's a lot of collections. You'll have a good time. Would love to hear about it, especially if I've never been to your neck of the woods. One of our goals for the next, let's say 12 months is we want to try to get as close as we can to having bought a collection from all 50 states in our great country, the United States of America. So we'll keep everyone posted about that. I really appreciate that. We got a little comment here. Someone saying they're enjoying the video archive, watched it a ton. It's pure collector's eye candy to see what we've acquired through the years. Appreciate that. And for those that didn't know, we also have another podcast, Leighton's Loft. It's every Wednesday with my friend Lou. Blasi is very heavy into the fantasy baseball and fantasy football analytics scene. So if that's your cup of tea, we're going to be talking about that more this year, as well as some betting on that program, but certainly collecting here on Trading Card Therapy. And with that, we are going to wrap up today's episode, Trading Card Therapy, episode number 32, in honor of Blair Thomas, former first-round draft pick and bust for the New York Jets. Unfortunately, I'm a Jets fan, but joking aside, thanks for tuning in, everybody. And please, hopefully you can join us next week on Trading Card Therapy. Take it easy.